Welcome back, guys. So today I'm going to be telling my first ever story on here. Yippee. It's going to be about my first party experience. Now, I don't go to many parties, so this one is actually pretty unique because this happened about 5 years ago. So let me introduce the person whose name is M. Now, it's not the same M from a previous video. So one day, I'm walking, you know what I mean? So I go over, so me and M make plans, right? So then we plan on hanging out. So I didn't have a car at the time, so I walked. So I start walking, I continue walking, and then all of a sudden, I get there, and we hang out for a bit. I honestly thought I was gonna get some that night, but I did not end up getting any. So I get there, and she casually mentions, so we hang out there for a bit, like 30 minutes go by, and me and her, and she says, oh, there's gonna be a party later, and I'm like, oh shit, can I come? And how I said it, I sounded like I was happy, like I was a dog that was like jumping, like really happy, right? And so then we get to the party. And when we get there, so before we get to the party, it's later on that day, and then me and her walk back to my place, and then we stop by another person who we'll just call D. Now D is the friend that I've known since like high school, right? And so we hang out with him for a bit. Side note, but it's not important. He threw up in his car, and me and M had to clean it. And I'm like, why the fuck are we cleaning it? It is your car. It's not my car. And then he's like, do it if you want. I mean, that was his car because he said it was going to take us to said party. And so that happened, and I didn't clean up a lot of it. I didn't really touch any of it. So the car ends up being cleaned, and then we get there. He drives us. We go back to my house. She said my mom's hot. I don't know how to feel about that. So then we leave for the party. Now me and her were like this. Now me and her head to the party, and she's holding my hand on the way there because it was like a long ass trail in order to go to where the party actually was, right? And so where it was like a lake area. I don't know if it was supposed to be like public because there was no gates or anything, so I'm guessing it was public and anyone could just go in. But 30 minutes in, we meet a couple people there. She meets them. I'm just staying quiet because I don't know anyone there because I can't make friends worth shit. And then so after that, after 30 minutes, the party gets cut off by cops, right? You know what I mean? The cops show up, and then we go back, and then some people are running, but none of us really got arrested. I didn't get arrested. I didn't even see officers. So everyone was running, everyone was getting into a car, but because D already left, he was just dropping us off. He wasn't going with us. Me and M, we decided to just hop in someone else's car, and it was the people who we just met. We got in their car, and then because there wasn't any room, they said, oh no, maybe take someone else. And I'm like, dude, I gotta stay with M because she's the only person I know. I don't know anyone else in this entire fucking party. I want to be with M. And then so we had to squeeze in this tiny little car. I had to sit on someone's lap, and they were complaining the whole time. Guy almost got in an accident. It was cool. You know what I mean? I know I could have gotten someone else's car, but I wanted to make sure that I knew that I was in the same place that she was, you know? And so here's the thing. So my phone was in my jacket pocket, right? I was wearing a jacket. It was in my pocket, right? And then so when we got to the new place, it was cool. It was like an abandoned building. It was like hella dark and all this other kind of stuff. It was fucking awesome, right? And then so when we got there, everyone had their phones out and they had their flashlights, and they were going like, yeah. And I wanted to do that too. So then I reach in my pocket, and then I just have that look, you know, that look that you get when you don't have your phone. You're like, and so I'm looking for it, and then I'm just like, and then after that, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know who drove us because M couldn't drive, and the other people with us, they couldn't drive, so we had to ride with someone else. And I didn't really know what the car looked like. I didn't pay attention. All I knew it was a red car at the time, right? But then I realized something when I was looking for it. So when we first got there, that's when I first noticed that my phone was missing. And so after that, I spent the whole time there trying to look for my phone. I couldn't get a hold of M, and D didn't have a phone number. So D only had to be contacted through Instagram. And because at the time, I didn't know my login to my old Instagram that I got a hold of D of, and M also didn't have a phone on her either. So then I just spent the whole time there just looking for my phone. I don't even know what the car looked like. But then the person who hosted the party, he was like, hey, what's going on? And I was like, I lost my phone. And then he's like, yo, I mean, if you want to call anyone from my phone, you can. He was sober, right? He was sober. And he let me call the person I live with, being like, hey, you know what I mean? This happened. I'm sorry. And then the person I was living with was like, you better find your fucking phone. I was like, I will. And then so I actually remembered that there was a blanket in the back seat of the car that I was in. A blanket. fucking blanket, man, a blanket. And then so I remember that there was a blanket, right? And then here's the thing. So the person who drove us was wearing a red shirt. This is how I found him, with glass all in his hands, and he was not speaking. He was not getting up. He wasn't really saying much. I was like, dude, please just let me have your keys. Just let me take your keys. Like, no one trusted me with the keys, right? Which is understandable. I wouldn't trust anyone with the keys either. But at the same time, I had to explain to everyone, even the sober people, that my phone was in his car, and that's all I wanted was my phone. So I had to call D off of other people's Instagrams, and because I didn't know my login, he was getting calls from random Instagram accounts, right? So he kept on getting calls after calls after calls on multiple different Instagram accounts because people there would let me borrow their phone. And then at this point, the party was pretty much over. M wanted to leave, and she was like, hey, if you want to ride home, I mean, now's your chance. I was like, I can't without not having my phone on me. She was like, she was like, come on. You want to ride home? And I was like, bitch, I need my phone. And then everyone was like asking me for my Instagram, being like, oh, text you if we have your phone or anything like that. And I was like, how are you gonna text me over Instagram when I don't have a phone to use Instagram? And everyone there was just being a piece of shit. And it was, so then all of a sudden I'm calling someone, and then in the middle of me calling, that car turns on, and I'm like, oh shit. So then I hand the person back his phone, and then I start running to the fucking car, and then everyone's stopping him because, like I said, he was drunk. He was so intoxicated that he fell in glass. His hands was full of glass, his ass was full of glasses, whatever, right? So he was leaving, and then there were a ton of people sitting by his window being like, do not drive, because he had been drinking so much, right? And I had to open up the car door because it was unlocked, thankfully, and then all of a sudden I hear, what the fuck are you doing? And then I'm like, hey, I'm just looking for my phone. He's like, well, find it. And I'm like, okay, you know what I mean? And then so I found it. It was under the floor mat, and I was like, thank God. You know how much relief I had when I found my phone, dude? Oh my God, that was so cool. But that's not the end of the story. So after that, he dips. Everyone just right there, he just starts going, and I'm just like, oh fuck, he just dipped. He's driving and all that type of shit. He's out there driving somewhere. And then there were like 3 people that went after him. And then so because M was gone, I was like, all right, party's over. How am I getting home? I tried to call D. He didn't answer. Tried to call him again. He did not answer again. D called me. I answered, but because it was Instagram, my phone was dying quick, and I couldn't really get a clear visual of where I was doing, because with Instagram, if you wanted to FaceTime, it has to be a lot clearer. And so he was driving around in the neighborhood, and I was nowhere near a neighborhood. So where I was standing under a street light, and then there was a road right here, and then I just came back from over there, right? So I walked for a bit, and I'm being like, all right, if I can at least get to a street sign, if I'm on the corner of 2 streets, then I can at least tell D where to go, right? He starts driving around, and he can't find me for the life of me, right? And so I'm like, fuck, man. And then he starts to get upset. He's like, dude, I'm about to just go home at this point. I'm like, hey, I don't blame you. After that, I'm just sitting on the corner, and I'm just like, there are people driving by, and I'm just like, and I mean, obviously everyone just goes, and then so I start walking again, right? And then I start to walk, and then guess who I see driving down that fucking street that I'm just about to walk? Can you guys guess? It's fucking D. And then he drives me home. I'm thankful. I keep telling him how much I enjoy. He did a lot for me that night. If it wasn't for him, I don't know how I would have got home. I'm really thankful too that dude also decided to drive off. I know that sounds bad. Never drive drunk. That's the lesson of the video. Never drive drunk. So that might not seem as crazy to a lot of people, but because I don't really go out that much, it's crazy to me, you know. And I know losing your phone isn't the worst thing, but at the same time, it's pretty bad, you know. So yeah. And then next time I went there, we went to the same place, and I went with the same people, but more people. I went with M. D, I don't think I was talking to D at the time. I think me and M were kind of done talking to D. So me and M and a couple other people, we went there, and I made sure I had my phone on me that whole time, and it wasn't really that bad of an experience. So next time I tell a story like this, I'm definitely not going to tell the second one because it wasn't as interesting, because it was me drinking, or not drinking, but I had a drink, and then I just walked around, and it was pretty sick. I wanted to explore that place a lot more, and it was pretty sick. It was an abandoned building, and like around like 10 minutes from where I live. It was fucking dope. It was just fire, you know. It's pretty sick. But yeah, hope you enjoyed.